everybody, and welcome to day 29 of 30 days and 30 ways to clear your energy. We've been through so many different things in the last month or so, and I kind of wanted to end on a couple of really simple ones, but really helpful ones. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about decluttering and this concept of going through cupboards and rooms and your house in general or your office as well, and just try to find spaces that feel energetically really dense and difficult and overwhelming and stressful. And I know how hard it is to move through those things, but in my personal experience, if you don't jump in and do it yourself, the universe will find a way to do it for you, which is really interesting. But this is another level on top of decluttering and cleaning. This is around cleansing the energetic space. So I tend to find these do actually work better once you've cleaned and decluttered the space. But if you don't have time or the capacity and you just feel like the energies are really heavy, this is a really nice thing to do, or these number of things are a really nice thing to do. So some of the symptoms of feeling like your environment or your home is feeling a little bit energetically stagnant or energetically low is that you might just feel just this general energy of in the house, like it all feels very heavy, it all feels very dense. um, it feels like, air and movement hasn't been through it in a really long time. So, a fairly obvious one is to open all the windows and to let air through, because air is actually a really fantastic conductor of energy, believe it or not. And what it does is it tends to keep the energy moving through the house so it doesn't feel so dense. The other thing to bear in mind as well is that because we have so much Wi Fi in homes, if you keep the door shut and the windows shut, all of that radiation goes up significantly. So opening the doors and windows allows that to release and to move through so that you don't feel so exhausted and, I guess, a bit heavy from all of that energy from the radiation. So incense, Palo Santo, I should say, and sage, those are really fantastic ways to clear the space. Sage, I like to use as a spray. Some people like to use it as a smudging stick. They get the whole collection of sage leaves. You basically kind of light the end and then blow it out, and then the smoke that continues for ages, and you can basically smoke the house. Be mindful of smoke alarms. But smoking the house with sage and Palo Santo are both really nice ways to clear and clean the energy of the space if that appeals to you. I'm not a huge smoking fan. I don't really like it so much for me personally. So I tend to use sprays instead, and singing bowls. But smudging works a treat and it's really, really nice. You can also use beautiful bells as well. Any kind of sound healing helps to clear a space. I've also recorded a really in-depth energy cleansing meditation on my YouTube channel, which is at Kate Connolly Intuitive. If you want to check that out, it's really powerful. And I use it myself on a regular basis, and most of my clients use it as well. House plants is also really, really helpful. Having house plants everywhere, apart from the oxygen carbon dioxide thing where they pull in your carbon dioxide and give you oxygen, they also allow for energy to flow. And don't forget that energy of nature is actually a really powerful thing, and it tends to kind of draw people into the space that they're living in. So don't underestimate the power of plants as long as they're alive. If you're killing your plant, you may need to talk to it to move it, or just try and look after it a little bit better. I'm not great with plants. My husband's great. So, if that's something you want to play with, absolutely do that. The other thing that you can do is kind of light up your space. So you can light it up with candles, or, lighter walls. Anything that's really dark in color can tend to drop the energy. So when you want to kind of increase the lightness of a space, and I say that with dark doors behind me, it is actually worth, trying to lighten up the space. So if you want to paint everything a little bit lighter, or if you want to just add a light rug or add some more actual lights in the space, candles, lamps, that kind of thing. It really helps to kind of open up and make that space feel lighter and airier, and it helps to clear energy, interestingly enough. Light in and of itself clears energy, and darkness in and of itself does not necessarily. Okay, so The other thing that really is helpful, apart from we've talked about crystals, where you can kind of use crystals and you can actually grid homes with it, you can also create little altars with different crystals and whatnot in them to help transmute energy in particular rooms. Now, it's not for everybody. I don't necessarily have one myself, but I've got different shelves in my library and whatnot where I might have like a bit of a crystal collection, and it's not for an altar per se, but I do know that people who have altars, and an altar is, it's not like where we devote anything to anybody. It's really just a place for us to rest and reflect and spend time. And it's just a really sacred place that you put aside for yourself and for your meditation or spiritual practice. So it's not about, doing a big churchy thing, or praying to a god or anything. Unless that's your thing, go for it. It's more about creating a sacred space for you in your home, and that in and of itself can clear and bring energy into a space as well. So that's kind of most of it. We've got things like plants, lights, smudging, altars, crystals, candles, lighting up the space, basically trying to make everything a little bit lighter. And all of those environmental factors are actually a bit of a game changer. So if you have a really dark room, you might have super heavy curtains. You might want to, make sure that they're always open, or switch them up for something lighter if you can. It's not always possible. Or just kind of lighten the space as best you can so that it feels a lot better. Never underestimate the power of a good smudging stick, which is usually sage or Palo Santo or incense or even sprays, just to kind of clear the space out. And also, don't forget that tends to go on top of the cleaning and the decluttering. Okay, I hope that was really helpful, and have a fantastic day. And I'll see you for the final day tomorrow.